Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing alright. A little bit of a different video today. We're gonna take a look at the most recent updates when it comes to Sweet Transit and the developer news that we have seen coming in over the last few months. So we're quickly moving towards the next big content update for Sweet Transit, with the developer confirming that the next big industry, steel production, will release before the end of the year. I figured it's time that we take a look at what we already know, but also what we can expect for both this upcoming update, but also for the future updates that we have still to get a clear release date for. Sweet Transit released early access on the 28th of July 2022, and we have seen a small but very dedicated player base that has been taken by storm when it comes to this game. The developer has really grasped a super interesting concept for this game. So I think we usually see it compared to games like OpenTTD, Factorio, or even Transport Fever 2 we've seen. But when we look into the game, it's actually quite different to all of these games. And I think that's what's really grasped this small but very dedicated community. So when we look at the early access release and everything that we have received so far, we of course have a limited subset of different content that we can play around with here. But I still think that we have a substantial amount of content for an early access game compared to what we have seen in the past. So right now we have a more or less complete tutorial that clearly understands, or not understands, but makes you understand what you need to do in the game. We have a multitude of different industry buildings, stations, 2 different labor houses that we can play around with, and also more than 10 town industries that we can also produce goods from within our cities. And of course we have a bunch of different other tools and items that expands the vast rail empires that we are building. To add to this, of course, we also have the developer drip feeding us updates ever since really early access release here. So already a day after the early access release on the 29th of July, we got the first small drip feed of updates and insight into what the developers are actually working on when they're not squishing bugs, of course. Being in early access release, we've seen plenty of bugs. Luckily, the developer seems to be very active and working on resolving these bugs, and in the meantime working on different content that we can expect for the future as well. So in the very first content update that we received pointers from the developer in regards to the steel production that will be released this year. We also got information on how this steel production will be used. So we got a sneak peek on the idea behind steel bridges. We also got our first few words when it comes to steel tools. We also got confirmation for something that people has been asking for since release, the production charts. But on the other hand, that was all we got for that time. After this, we got substantially more details over the next 3 major developer updates in the news post that was posted on the Steam page over the 2-3 months maybe, or something like that. All of these updates we will cover in this video. Currently I've split it up into 8 parts, which of course you will find timestamps of down in the description below. Everything for your viewing pleasure. Let's go. Production stats and UI. Let me ask you something. Do you know how much fuel you have? Or how much fuel you need? I do. That's what Excel is for. The developer, however, seems to be under the impression that this is information that is needed in-game. With a new statistic panel, we should be able to see production and consumption of all kinds of goods, including fuel, of course, we will be able to select intervals for which we would like to see the information. So say that you want to see information in a 60-second interval, or maybe you want it in an 1 hour interval, or even 60 hours. I don't know who would play Sweet Transit for more than 60 hours, right? For now, the developer has already confirmed that wealth, so money, and a few other details will not actually be included in this production shot, but they do look at actually including this in the future, so let's wish the developers best of luck with this. Nothing like a graph looking like an alpine descent, as my trains run out of fuel and my wheat farms are screaming for workers. With that flaming inferno, let's look at some depot changes. Depot changes. So the train preset editor and the depot has more or less been combined into one, and a kind of similar functionality to it. So you will be able to move wagons, you will be able to switch engines and make different adjustments to your trains, such as flipping them and moving different parts around. Just like you were able to with the preset editor, you will now be able to do in the actual train depot as well. Trains will also now have to move directly to the train depot themselves physically, meaning that there will be no more of those magically transporting trains teleporting over to the depot when you tell them to. Joyous times indeed. With these two changes, we should be able to see a more flexible option to change and update trains from the current system that we see today, where we are kind of forced to keep presets that we can't really update in any easy way within the game right now. Personally, of course, I'm super excited to be able to combine two trains into one when you kind of hit that bump from the tensile trains and be able to build one big train instead of these two smaller ones. And you can do that from the depot, which I will of course name the derail jail, because yeah, that's right, we will actually be able to name our depots in the future. I'm so hyped for this. It's gonna be good. But yeah, the question still remains in regards to crashed trains or trains that has been in an accident. Currently we are sending them back to depot so they can be repaired there. Of course, if the train are going to move physically back to the depot, if the train is totaled in a crash, I wouldn't expect it to be able to make it to the depot by itself. The developer haven't really touched on this at all in their recent updates, so this is kind of up to interpretation yet. My question to you is, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that we will see a system where we need to build a tow train that will tow all of these trains back to the depot? Would you expect them to limp home, just go slower? Maybe it's similar to how it works if you are out of fuel. Let me know in a comment down below. I'm actually really interested to see what people are interested in seeing when it comes to these kind of features. Personally, I think I would really like the idea of having a tow train that you need to send out to pick up a broken down train out in the wild. But with that comment done, let's look into some changes to routing and the different rail behaviors that we have. If you are one of those mentally unstable people that mix people and goods on your train, this one will speak to you. When you configure your trains in the future to both leave the potatoes at town but also leave the workers, the new workers or the old workers that get off will actually bring the potatoes off the train themselves as well. So we will not have this situation where we're doing one thing at a time. The question here is, does this make all laborers women as well? Oh. Okay. Fine. I'm a pig. Don't have anything that needs to be delivered or dropped off in the next destination. With coming updates, you will be able to select optional destinations. Based on your weight condition, the train will decide beforehand if it needs to visit a specific stop or not. super convenient if you ask me. I'm so hyped for this. It's going to be great. If you instead value consistency and so on, there will be something for you as well. Timetables are finally coming to Switch Transit. I know this is something that has been requested by a lot of people for a lot of time. And it could not really have been implemented in an easier way. When selecting your wait condition, there will be an option for you to select time. That easy. The train will wait until the in-game time reaches this specific time of day, and will then continue with whatever it was doing. You can of course combine this with an OR statement, and you can program yourself quite a complex timetable, I would imagine. On the other hand, if you prefer to make sure that your workers are on board and eager to work when they leave the station, a new wait condition will be added for you to do this as well. A new wait condition will give you the option to specify how big percentage of workers should be rested or unrested at each station before the train leaves. Lastly, how do you build crossings between two rails? Something like this, maybe? Yep, that's right. That's been solved now. Offset diamonds? Thing of the past, man. Villages and towns. So, the developers has also teased us with a few new upcoming buildings that we will be able to build in the villages and towns that we are populating. But of course, maybe more interesting is the changes to the labor houses that we have today. So currently we have two different houses in our towns. Of course, we have the normal labor houses, the workers, and we also have the craftsmen. In the future, we will no longer have to wait for our laborers to understand that it's actually preferable to live in a luxurious house. It's something that you want to do. I don't understand why that's so hard for them to get. Instead, we will be able to directly build craftsman houses from the build menu instead. This means that any worker house we can also upgrade as long as we have the required resources. No more waiting for available workers or anything like that. If they want to upgrade to a more luxurious house, go right ahead. No questions asked. Only resource requirements will remain. Another major update to the villages is the opportunity to build towns now without any limit. Infinite expansion. You know this recent challenge run that we started up? One city built? It's gonna cover the whole map. It's just 20 tiles big, don't tell anyone. So yeah, infinite expansion. Doesn't that sound great? This will also accompany some new station limits calculations that will improve worker availability and AI. So one of these logic changes in the AI will make sure that workers are actually swapping houses within the city according to need. So this should limit the likelihood of issues where workers are situated in a house where they don't have really anything to do, while the other side of the town has massive amount of work to do. All of these changes, of course, would be a big impact by itself, but developer doesn't really seem to understand the idea of doing just a little bit, just enough. So they also included a change where we will be able to connect roads directly to station platforms and bridges. This is going to be huge for city development, especially with the infinite expansion in mind. So not only will workers move to more suitable houses, they will also be able to go to any station where they feel like they can reach. even if they can only reach the platform itself, as long as you have a road going there. So it really looks like the developer is taking all actions that is possible to make sure that we have all of the options and the flexibility within the game that can possibly be given to the player, which is so cool. I can't really commend this enough. If we continue on the topic of towns and villages, I'm sure we all have that one corner on the village map, so to say, where there is just parks. There is nothing but parks here, okay? Of course, the purpose of this parks corner is to make sure that the city is attractive enough to live in, that the citizens will continue paying a premium on the completely other side of town, preferably as far away from the parks as possible. With the new updates, this should be coming to an end. In the future, we will be able to use a pollution layer that will inform us on the kind of desirability of our towns and each district of the town. And the industry that is in the city will expel pollution, while any trees and any of the decoration layers that we have right now, or decoration items, will make people ignore this pollution and the noise of like 100 stone cutters whacking at a rock for 24 hours a day just next door. Jokes aside though, the current attractiveness system desperately needs a rebuild, and I wholeheartedly think that this will be a positive change to everything and should really bring some more natural cities with a completely different feel to it. I'm really looking forward to this update actually. And then Billy comes along and he's like, but what about fish? There is never enough fish. So yeah, Billy, we all wish to catch those big slobs with jagged teeth. Now we can finally do it from a jagged-edged beach. This should give me so much more fish. If you ever meet the developer, say thanks from me, alright? Okay, so we're about halfway through this video now, I think. Probably. Something like that. If you stay there for all this time and you listen to everything up until now, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. Go down in the comments. And then you write something stupid. Thank you for the socks update or something. Write something dumb, just for everyone else to be confused when they go down there and read what people left. I think that would be really funny. Stations and industries. Distribution centers will be able to actually specialize in a product, because a jack of all trades is a jack of none, or a master of none. You go with whatever one you prefer. This will, of course, give a efficiency boost depending on how many industries that the distribution center has connected to it of the same sort. So if you connect a coal mine and a saw industry to the same distribution center, it won't do any change. But if you connect a bunch of different sawmills to the same distribution center, it will specialize in sawmills and it will give you a efficiency boost together with those actions that you just took. The same applies to cities that will specialize as you continue to give workers the dull work of cutting stone for 24 hours a day. What wouldn't we all do for 10% increase in stone production, right? The developer promises that this will provide substantial increase to the production for all industry. But we'll see about that, as your upkeep for wood will make sure that your warehouse inventory remains as a constant 0. Will we see one village per product series coming up? Who knows? You do. If you subscribe. Thanks. If you still don't feel like your slaves, laborers, are doing enough, you can always give them tools. That's right. all this time they've been cutting stone, mining for gold, and harvesting wheat fields without any tools. By delivering these tools, you will of course be able to see your industries get a massive increase of production, up to doubling the production of coal mines from 60 minutes to 120 minutes, has the developer confirmed. Allegedly, we will also be able to stack these tools to increase the production even further. So it seems like the developer is just going to give us all of the resources that we need going forward. Still not enough for you? How about we just remove the limits on industries as well, just like towns. In the future, industries can also be endless, I guess. I'm gonna need so big maps going forward. You will also be able to connect industries directly to villages, with an impact on overall attractiveness of the town, of course, but who needs attractiveness or trains, right? Stamps. Okay. Real talk here. What's the best way to pay for stuff? Stamps. It's totally stamps. Stamps is now coming to Swift Transit. Got some food stamps left over. Got some food stamp left over from last month, maybe? Don't own Sweet Transit yet? This is your moment. Or maybe I misunderstood what the stamp system was. Apparently you will be awarded stamps for delivering goods and travelers to their destination. There will be 3 categories: awarding reaching the desired destination, moving people, or of course moving goods. With these stamps we will be able to increase our build ranges, storages, population limits, or impact our gameplay in other ways. Personally, I'm not sure when I'll get my food stamps. And we have map generation. There will also be some changes that will of course force you to restart your game. Not only because your current save is probably out of stone, and the wood is being used to burn the workers, so they work harder. As you start your new playthrough, you will find some new changes. These are all in the world generation screen, from the previous confusing screen talking about noise factors and scales like we're back in middle school or something. We will now be able to specify more reasonable things, let's call it that. Things like upkeep multipliers, build cost, storages, taxes, resource availability, you know, things that actually make sense besides the noise and factors and different scales from middle school. We will also of course be able to play on a sandbox mode. No more mods required, imagine that. And yes, Billy, there will be an easy mode for you as well. Stop asking. And lastly but not least, we have a few quality of life and UI changes that will come with the next update. So I'm not so sure about you, but requirement signals is likely the most complicated part of this game. I spent hours of in-game time trying to test and experiment with these signals, and I'm still not sure that I understand how they work. Either way, besides a UI improvement, we will also see these signals have 4 new requirements in upcoming updates. These 4 requirements are multi-drive, route name, and copy. They should be able to give you the option to specify exactly which train goes where, which kinda thought was the idea of the requirement signals in the first place, but at least now you can do it properly. Personally, I'm actually super hyped for the copy requirement. I can't wait to prioritize all of my trains the wrong way, while everything crashes and burns around my wood trains that are still not moving. The question is though, what comes to mind for you as a possibility with these signals? Let me know in the descriptions below as well. Anyways, I believe the video has been long enough at this point, so let's cover some smaller updates. The developer has been working on a visual for the progression system, so you can see exactly how far you got to go until you can speed around in those awesome diesel trains. While waiting for the trains, people will no longer squeeze into the stations. You will instead be able to see them on the station platforms, exposed to the element. This is great. And last but not least, when you enter the map mode that we have today, you will be able to see the city names of each city on your map as well. Everything to make sure that you can see all of these names that you cannot pronounce. All of these upgrades are not scheduled to release at the same time, but I do hope that they will give you at least an overview of what to come, so to say. Most likely we will see these updates being released in two different release windows or within two different updates. So currently we know that update number 1 will be releasing together with the steel. We also know that the developer is working on the update number 2, as they call it. In regards to the steel production, we will of course know that that one will release before the end of the year. For any of the other updates, I guess time will tell. Lastly, I would like to say that all of this is my interpretation and the game is still under development, meaning that we will likely, most likely, almost certainly, we will see changes to the information that you found in this video, of course. For most recent information, then head over to the Discord, I would say. It's a great place to be. I spend a lot of time there. Come say hi, chat, see what we got going on there. Another good place to look around if you want to see more information in regards to Sweet Transit and the recent and upcoming updates is of course the Steam news page for the game itself. And if you just want to see more gameplay, then you're on the right channel. Hit that subscribe button. We are playing Sweet Transit and all kinds of other games here, so I would really appreciate having you here. Either way, thank you so very much for watching. I do hope that you have found this really helpful. If you did, then click that like button down below. I do appreciate that as well. But until next time, bye bye everyone.